So in 2015, there were approximately 3,977,000 births in the country. Find the birth rate in births per minute. Assuming a population of 318 million, what was the annual birth rate in units of birth per 1,000 people? Round to the nearest tenth as needed. So I see two things here. First, I see that we need to find the birth rate in births per minute. And then they ask, what was the birth rate in units of births per 1,000 people? That's two separate things. So we need to do one at a time. Let's start with the first one. Find the birth rate in births per minute. So let's see what we have. We have been given the birth rate for the year. They said in 2015 there were almost 4 million births. So we have the yearly rate. They don't want the yearly rate, they don't want the daily rate, they don't want the hourly rate, they want the minute rate. Is minutely a word? Either way, they want the rate per minute. So that means we need to convert 1 year into minutes. And there's a couple different ways that you can do that. Let me see if I can get my drawing pen up here. Hang on a second. Okay, so there are a couple different ways that you can do this conversion. In your textbook and the videos, you may see a string of conversions. For this particular video, I'm just going to go and do something a little more simplistic. So I know that there is 1 year, right? The year is 2015 in this case. I also know that there are 365 days in 1 year. Actually, this is going to be very similar to the string of conversions. I also know that there are 24 hours in 1 day. I know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So what I have here, I do have a string of conversions that I can go ahead and I can cancel some stuff out. Any unit that appears in the top of one fraction and the bottom of the other, I can safely cancel out. So, you see how year is up here and down here? Cancel. Days is here and here? Cancel. Hours is here and here? Canceled. The only thing that comes up just once is minutes. And when you're doing canceling, when you're doing a string of conversions, you're trying to get from one unit to another, the one thing that you want to not cancel is a unit that you want as part of your answer. And for us, we do want per minute. We do want minute for our unit. So that means we're good. I don't have any more canceling to do. I need to just simplify the math that I have here, and we'll calculate it. So let me rewrite this so it's a little bit neater. Oops, that's not neater, sorry. So I canceled out my 1 year, and I was left with 365 times 24 times 60. And all of the denominators were just 1, so I'm not going to bother with those right now. Dividing anything by 1 doesn't make a difference. And this right here, 365 times 24 times 60, this is how you can convert years, or 1 year, into minutes. So you can keep that in mind if you'd like. Make a note of that. To go from 1 year to minutes, we do this here. 365 times 24 times 60. I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator. I'm going to do 365 times 24 times 60. And we find there are 525,600 minutes in a year. Let's go ahead and write that down. 525,600 minutes. Okay, so 1 year is 525,600 minutes. 525,600, just make sure I got that right. So what they've asked us to do is calculate the births per minute. Per means divided by. So they're asking us to take the number of births and divide it by that number of minutes. And if we look at the beginning of the problem, it says the number of births. It says it was right up here, the 3,977,000 births. So for births per minute, we're going to take that number and divide it by the number of minutes we just calculated were in 1 year. So 3,977,000 births. And see, we get births per minute here. And all we have to do is just go ahead and divide. Let's put that into a calculator. If you like, you can do it long division, but there's no need for that. You can certainly use your calculator. So 3,977,000. Yep. Divided by 525, 600. And we end up with 7.56. Let's write that down. Actually, I'm going to double check. It's always good to, for me anyways, when I have big numbers, it's good for me to double check to make sure I type them in right. So 3,977,000, 3,977,000, and then 525,600. Okay, so 7.56 is what I'm going to write down. I know that the number is longer than that, but we are asked to round to the nearest tenth. So when you're asked to do that, assuming you have a longer number than just to the tenths, you want to write down your number to the nearest, you want to write down the hundredths digit and use that as your rounding digit. So this is the tenths, this is the hundredths. Our hundredths is above 5, which means the tenth is going to get bumped up. So rounded to the nearest tenths, the births per minute for this country would be 7.6. So that was one of the questions they asked. Let's go back and read this again. In 2015, there were approximately 3,977,000 births in a country. Find the birth rate in births per minute, which we did. And then it says, assuming a population of 318 million, what was the annual birth rate in units of births per 1,000 people? So this one is slightly different now. We were asked to change the annual birth rate into the birth rate per minute. Now we're being asked to find the birth rate per 1,000 people. So let's see what we can do here. Remember that per means divide by, and I will make sure at the end of this video to show you a list of common terms that you may see. How do I deselect that? That's how. Okay, so let's see. We have 3,977,000 births, and they said that the population, remember, was 318 million. Let's write that out as digits. 318 million would be 318, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So if we wanted to calculate the number of births per one person, we would just divide this right here. Oops, sorry about that. If we wanted to calculate the number of births per one person, we would put this into a calculator. 3,977,000 divided by 318 million. That would give us the number of births per one person. And that's actually where I personally am going to start this. I know they want the births per 1,000, but I'm going to start with the births per 1. So let's take the total number of births, and we'll divide it by the total population of the country, 318 million. Do I have too many zeros? Nope, that's right. So the number of births per one person is only 0.0125. That's not a very helpful number. But that's probably why they asked us to find the births per 1,000 people. So to get from where we are to where we want to be, all we need to do is multiply by 1,000. So let's just tack that on here. There we go. So the births per 1,000 people is 12.5. You see how I have a 0 after that 5? I'm not going to round anything up. I'm going to just round off to 12.5. So let me go back to my whiteboard here and write that down. I'll write down exactly what we did. We did that division. We multiplied by 1,000, and we got 12.5. Okay. Alright, so just to recap how we solved this problem is it always helps to read the question more than once and to determine are they asking you one question or multiple questions. In this case, they were asking us 2 different questions that had to be solved 2 completely separate ways. So it doesn't always happen where they work 2 questions into one, but they did here, so if you don't recognize that it's different questions, it's going to be very difficult to solve. So just carefully read the question and try and see how many different instructions or questions they ask you, and then take it one at a time. Another thing was, one thing that stood out to me was see how the births were written in full numbers, 3,977,000. But the population was 318 million. They just had the word million there. It was up to us to convert that into full digits like we did down here. So that way we were able to put it into a calculator safely. A note about calculators, the one that I was using here on screen is Desmos. I'll make sure that link is available to you. It's free, not associated with the school, but I've been using it forever. You don't have to download it. You don't have to log in, sign up, nothing. You can download an app if you want to, which is also free. I recommend this calculator to any math student because it has everything you need pretty much. And like I said, it is nice and free. Did also promise that we would talk a little bit more about some of the terms that you might see in math. So if you go to the Student Success Commons website and you go to the math section, you'll notice there's a page for quantitative reasoning. Oops, I just picked dosage calculations on accident. But there's a page for QR. And you'll see we have resources divided up by each chapter. So chapters 2 and 3, where we are now, you can see we've got stuff for 2A, 2B, 2C. Each of these are linked to a video that's already been made to help you out. We also have some online calculators that may help you do things a little faster. And then we have notes and examples. And so in these notes and examples, you can see we have some keywords here. Per, of, is, and what. We have the mathematical meaning and then examples. You'll find notes like this for all of this class. Some of the things you can download, so you might find that you have a homework question that is super, super similar to something we already have notes for. Or videos. Like I said, all of these links here, it says video links. There are a ton for each chapter. And you can see down here we have some mini math tutoring videos. So if your topic comes up, you can always check here to see if we already have the video. And if we don't, you can email me and I can make it for you. But we do have quite a few of our own tutoring videos here, plus all these other videos here that just go over the basic concepts to reinforce what you're learning in class. So I would highly recommend that you bookmark this page. I'll make sure the link is available to you because you're going to want to refer to it very often, I think, because it has a lot of good stuff. So with all that said, I think we've finished our problem. Got some good resources here. If you have any questions, please just let me know. Other than that, I wish you good luck.